Hi, this is Roman, and today I'm going to be sharing an instructional routine that aligns with this lesson for Unit 7, Day 14, for the geometry lesson on circles and triangles. The focus question of this lesson is how do the characteristics of incenters and circumcenters compare? And the instructional routine that I'll be sharing is problem strings, which is a great instructional routine for comparing. So I have a small presentation that I'm going to share on problem strings, breaking down the idea of the routine, and then I'll share a model that could be used for this lesson. So let's present. So the first activity here we have straight from the lesson are the two diagrams, one of the incenter, one of the circumcenter, and you're going to have students compare how are these diagrams the same and how are they different. And it's a great activity for students to take a look at the diagram. I took away the text. Obviously, you could add the text of which one's the circumcenter and which one's the incenter. I thought it'd be more valuable for the students to explain which one's which and why. So they normally are going to take some time to solve this initial problem themselves, hopefully connecting to what they already know, ideally able to answer it independently. And usually students should write down both the problems and their answers and strategies to this question or these questions. From here, students are going to share their answers to the problems with brief explanations, why their answers work. And as a teacher, we're looking to gather what we see. Obviously, it looks very different in the remote setting, but we have methods for gathering this data. And recording this list of problems and strategies is going to be critical for students to be able to make connections across the problems going forward. And we have these tools where we could gather all of this from our students. So this instructional routine and this first part really does connect to the hallmarks of advanced literacy. With respect to hallmark 1, the graphics count as text for mathematics. So it does align to hallmark 1. Within the routine, we are allowing students to talk and discuss to build language and knowledge. The prompts are allowing students to write to build language and knowledge. And we are studying a small set of high utility vocabulary words to build breadth and depth in knowledge. Yeah, I'm sorry about, I don't know why that looks like that on full screen. It doesn't look like that when I created it. So when we think about problem solving, and this would be that first question that follows the intro and launch of the lesson, allow students to solve the initial problem themselves and look for the most efficient solution to the problem. Each time a student approaches a new problem, they should look and see if they can apply or adapt a strategy that surfaced from a previous problem. And then we could look to pair them up and share the solution to the initial problem together. While again, we as a teacher, not circulating, but maybe popping in and out of breakout rooms to check in with students or whatever platform that we might be using, keeping those notes on students' works. And then after that, share strategies. Have students come together and share the strategies that they used to solve the problems. And the teacher is going to record all these strategies and annotate, if necessary, their explanations. Again, we're not going to use a chart or whiteboard, but we do have tools that we could use in the digital world, like a Jamboard. And the teacher can use talk moves like restating and probing questions to focus on the discussion as necessary. So let's take a look at the next question that would pop up in our lesson here. And we could think of this even as a formative assessment or that check-in for a student, right? Give them some time to work on it individually, and then pair them up and have students work with a partner to finish coming up with a strategy. That might be a little bit more complicated. And as a teacher, you're checking in on the students, again, using those digital platforms at this point. And after that point, you're going to give about 2 to 8 minutes for this full group share out, and allow pairs of students to present their strategies, with one person pointing and the other person talking. So again, a little bit different in the digital world, but we can have students work together to present in the digital world. And the goal of this final discussion is to get all students comfortable using targeted strategies so they can apply it to other problems. And the last part here is one more writing strategy that could be used. So this last part, we're going to have 2 examples, and I used one example of an in-center problem worked out and one example of a circum-center problem worked out. And then you would ask students what's the same for each example and what revisions or additions they can make based on those model exemplars. And this is a great technique for students to really identify what they've learned based on these model exemplars, or possibly what strategy that they've gained as a result of being exposed to these model exemplars.